Okay, so there seems to be a lot of confusion around your equipment. So I'm hoping to clear that up. When you're in your budget and you're building your equipment, you can come down here and say you're doing a group. You've got this trailer package. Usually, a group lends itself nicely to either a trailer package or a truck because it's got certain things inside that always stay in there, like big things. Could be like mowers and things like this. Is a maintenance one. You've got your trailer with wrecking. It's got big pieces of equipment in terms of mowers and so on. But then you have the smaller stuff, whether it's a truck with, a fire extinguisher, gas cans, and things like that, or it's the trailer that has these little things. You're going to draw the line somewhere. So at some point, you're going to say, there's a lot of little things that go into this trailer that we are taking along with us, maintaining, supporting as a company. And in turn, it's part of our equipment. So usually you'll draw the line wherever you feel comfortable. Maybe you have a hand tools, maybe you have a power tools, and you're making yourself some notes as to what that all is. This is maybe you have a hardscape package and it has saws and it has all different things that you're going to need in that package. So the groups are your friend when it comes to adding those little things and saying, you know what, I'm going to spend so much a year on those little things. But do make a note of what it all includes. So does it include a wheelbarrow? Does it include pruners, rakes, shovels, all those things? And you're going to note, hey, what all did I have in mind when I came up with this figure here? So is it gas cans? Is it first aid, fire suppression, and so on, dot, dot, dot. So all of those things you're going to include. Those are in the budget now. They're inside the budget, inside my trailer maintenance. And maybe I have 2 of those, right? All right. So I'm going to say done. This is an example budget. I'm going to go ahead and hit save here. After I update my budget, I go top down within each section to just really be very honest with myself as far as what I'm going to support as a company and in turn what resources are going to be available to me. So once I've done that, then I have to come down and update my price list. If I do not update my price list, I will be bidding with old costs. I promise you. So you want to make sure and activate that budget you're working on, the one you just freshly updated. You want to probably set it as your default or else the system will keep toggling it away from you. But if you watch and toggle between budgets, what changes? So I just updated this 24 budget, but my costs will never change based on the budget until I ask it to. So I have to update my budget and then update my price list so that my costs are the latest and greatest and I'm not bidding with old ones. When I update my budget, the overhead support, which is markup, and the profit do shift, and that changes your hourly rate, daily rate, the prices you're charging your customer. But your costs don't change until you come in here and say, yes, let's change them. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and add that trailer. So this was trailer maintenance. I'm going to keep it in terms of hours, especially since it's maintenance. I'm not going to charge the customer sales tax because here we don't. And I'm going to hop into this calculator. This is opening up. I use this one, not this one. This is old school LMN. If I've included all my expenses in my budget, I don't necessarily need this. So that's why I'm including everything in my budget to true up what we're supporting as a company. And then I'm going to go right here and I'm going to go for the green and I'm going to pull in that maintenance trailer. So trailer maintenance, there it is. Okay, so now I've said, hey, I already in the budget said what it's going to cost me to own this budget for the year. Now I've brought that in. I don't have to touch this. If I've done import from budget and I've got everything on that trailer inside my budget, I do not have to touch these 4. I've already said what it's going to cost me to own it for the year. That's a little arrow down. It looks like it's not filled in. It's a group. I promise you, it's brought in a snapshot of that year. Once you do import from budget, do not touch the 4 below there. Those are good to go. It brought it in from the budget. You've already done that work. No need to do it again. So now I've said, I'm going to own it for the year. This is what it's going to cost me. what's it going to cost me to operate it for the year? Because back in my budget, I had giant buckets of this is how much we're spending on fuel. This is how much we're spending on insurance and all those miscellaneous things like the tags, DOT stuff, maybe personal property tax. So big buckets in the budget. Here I'm saying, how much of that big bucket does this maintenance trailer package account for? So it's going to be really helpful to have another tab open with your LMN budget in that tab so you can refer back to everything that's in the group, because you want the maintenance and repair for not just the trailer, but everything that's in that package. Insurance and miscellaneous, licensing. What are we going to spend on fuel? Pick one price for gas, one for diesel. Consider your 2-cycle and be consistent throughout your budget. How much is everything in this package going to use on a typical day? So then you've said, what's it going to cost us to own it for the year? What's it going to cost us to operate it for the year? Now, how many hours are we going to divide those expenses over? How many hours do we get to bill that out? You got to be consistent here with your hours to take the same approach as you take when you do an estimate. So if on an estimate you say, hey, it's going to be on site for 8 hours, you need to consider those 8 hours here versus it's going to be on site for 8 hours, but it's going to run for 2 hours and I'm charging them for the 2 hours. Then you want to keep in that mindset of 2 hours here. You have to be consistent with that approach, how you bid it, how you build it here, how you bid it, and how we job cost it. So you have to be consistent with that. But then you're saying from the budget, how much to own it for the year, and everything in it, if it's a group, lends itself very nicely to that. What's it going to cost me to operate it for the year? And then how many hours do we get to spread that out over? This 1,008, that's the default. So if you're looking at a piece of equipment and it says 1,008, probably needs trued up for your company. Click OK. That brings in my cost. This is my raw cost. I have to support overhead. This is markup based on the budget, bringing me to break even. And then I have some options to get my profit in there. Click OK. Now that one's in there. So that's the flow. You're not doubling up stuff because you've said in my budget, this is what I'm supporting as a company. In the price list, you're drawing on that. And then you're drawing down that big bucket of fuel, insurance, and so on. The one place I would say you might potentially be doubling up is in the budget. If you put those little things in your equipment, watch out when you get to the overhead section, because those little things like gas cans and whatnot, they're probably landing in small tools on your profit and loss statement. So all this little stuff might be landing in small tools. So then when you get to overhead section and you're doing small tools, make sure to back that down enough so you're not doubling up. Hope that helps.